Hello and welcome to episode 16 of FPL Journey to 10K, the series and YouTube podcast that looks to help you understand how you can finish in that top 10K. And yeah, we'll look at the stats, the form, the fixtures, and all that good stuff. But it's really that secret weapon we've got in our back pocket. That is the guidance and mentorship of one of the best players to ever play the game. Has finished in the top 10K himself 7 times in the last 8 seasons with an average finish of 6,500. And going into this season, was ranked as the 5th best player on the planet. I am, of course, talking about my co-host, Mr. Matthew Corbridge. Matt, does that opening get any less embarrassing for you?
No. How you doing, my friend? You good?
No? I'm okay, thank you very much. Yeah, it's international. I never like international breaks. I'm one of those players that doesn't enjoy the time off. I know there's a few in that do, but I just want to keep going, especially as we both had green arrows, eh?
We did. We did a rare occasion, right? We've got to embrace it. We've got to take that in. You just want to continue, don't you? But who's your mate behind you? I know this is total coincidence, but little duck there, me with my yellow jumper on.
Oh, little pal duck. Yeah, Dave the duck.
Yeah.
Yeah, you dressed up like him. Yeah, if anybody's in Edinburgh, you know where I got this from. Leave in the comments where you think I got this from in Edinburgh. But I reckon people if anybody's local, they'll know exactly where that is. It's quite a famous place here.
I thought you delving into product placement. You're gonna put a link saying like an affiliate marketing link
to the podcast. There are other places to go out in Edinburgh as well. But what about yourself? Do you like to crack on with the season? I mean, do you like the international break? Is it a nice little sidestep from thinking about FPL too much?
I'm glad you're asking an FPL question. I thought then said, what about yourself? Do you like going out in Edinburgh? And as you know, yeah, I do. But, no, the international breaks, they're frustrating, right? They're frustrating. So, this is the last one for a while, right? It's now
February.
After this is the fixture congestion and slog through Christmas, where there's like games in midweek or whatnot, which is cool. I like that chaos. I always do awful. It's like my worst time every year. The November to the December period, I can never get right. And you know when you look at your mini leagues and you're looking at where everyone was ranked in certain months, I always struggle this kind of period, time of year, which I don't know if there's a specific reason why. Whether I'm not good with squad rotation stuff like that, but that's good fun. You don't have to overthink things, and it's wham wham wham. Yeah.
Yeah, out of interest, so what are we? 12 games in. Roughly, what rank are you usually at this time of the season?
Well, I'm 2.2 million now, right? But we'll move on for that. I'm normally sub 100k, and in the last 2 seasons, I've been like 20k, which is a bit of an exception. But yeah, normally I'm closing in to about 100k. I'd say on average now. Okay. So obviously we know this season's a bit like amongst engaged managers that are generally speaking, there's obviously exceptions, but generally speaking, I think it's been a tougher one where some kind of good teams with good fixtures are just not, and some good underlying stats have just not kind of come through. So Chelsea and Manchester United earlier, and kind of more recently, there's been a few examples of that. So but I'm doing exceptionally bad, so it's very different. So
the reason I mention it is maybe it's like a reverse. So in November and December, you're going to have your best months this season. This is where you bring it back.
Hey, I love the chase. I'm all about the chase, so it'll be good fun. Like you got the pressure now. Like you're you're like 1.9 mil now, is it? Or
just 1.5, just outside 1.5. So it's a little bit better than it has been in the last few weeks. We were looking because you made a comment about wondering if the wild card worked. So I think I texted you about this, and we're both 5 weeks into our wild card, seen 4 green arrows. I think I've gone up about 800,000 places. You got up about 1.3 million places, if my memory serves me right. So, the wildcard seems to have worked for you. The chase is on.
Pressure's on you as well. You got to keep your position, right? You're at the heavy, like the heady heights. I've got nothing to lose.
Yeah, that's it. It's time for where these sneaky gambles start coming in. But we've teased about the green arrows. Well, we may as well show them. So this is how we did in game week 12. Feel free to go first, Matt. Feel free. I usually go first. Let's mix it up.
Yeah, I actually can't believe you beat me by 1 point. So I got 80 points. You got 81. Because I'm looking at your team and I was thinking, like, I didn't go with a Newcastle defender. I mean, a lot of people, I've had Trippier moved someone to Lascelles, where it's like Simicast or someone else, and I thought I got away with it, right? And you got Lascelles for 0 points. Despite that, yeah, I'm kind of 1 point behind you. So you had a few people chipped in, but yeah, Areola, he got his customary no return. No return. I don't think I've had a keeper return all season, right? So that says it all. But then Cash with 2 points. I mean, I wasn't expecting much. The Villa defense ain't great, but beggars can't be choosers. I went for double Arsenal defense, as did you. So my move was bringing in Saliba for a Burn. Happy that he got his return. Kind of 9 points there. Gabriel got 2 points. Arsenal were unlucky. I think they had expected goals conceded 0.3. So yeah, most kind of like games, if they were like performing like that, there would have been a double clean sheet for my kind of Arsenal defender. So a little bit unlucky there. In midfield, Gordon, Son, and Mbumo kind of all blanked. I think Son looked a bit isolated. I know we're going to talk about him kind of a little bit later, but early days without Maddison. But yeah, kind of like Spurs didn't look great at all, and Son was pretty anonymous and isolated. Gordon was quite involved, but yeah, Newcastle were just looking fatigued. So like as a team, the international break comes at an awesome time for them. So yeah, Gordon really didn't do too much. Like he just looked exhausted. And Mbumo, a few people were quite surprised I brought in Mbumo as my transfer. I can't remember for who. Who did I bring in Mbumo from? Maddison. Yeah, Maddison. So Maddison was injured. So yeah, I had a whole host of options I could have picked. So I could have gone for Eze. I could have gone for Bowen. I could have pushed hard to get Saka in. I went to Mbumo, and people were like, "Why have you gone him?" But like, yeah, he's a kind of great asset, and he was super unlucky to not get an attack in return. I think he missed. There's a few one-on-ones which like he missed, and like maybe that's down to Alisson just being like the best keeper in the league. But I think his expected goal involvement for the game against Liverpool was over 1. So statistically, he did really well. So I'm kind of happy that he's back in my team. A little bit unlucky. Salah captain for his return, which is great. Watkins and Darwin both with 1 return each, which is cool. Darwin, he's an interesting one, right? He flirts and hints with a mega haul every single game, but normally just comes around away with 1 attacking return and no bonus points. So like, yeah, this weekend he of course had 2, I think quite marginal goals disallowed for marginal offside decisions, but like 2 very good finishes, which is promising. He was a menace, very involved again, which is really good. And yeah, I'm happy with him. But it feels like that was my bet on game week 8 wildcard was Nunez playing, Liverpool winning their games and getting lots of attacking returns. So I got that bet right, but I haven't got the points that I wanted, right? He's returned every game bar 1 since game week 8, but there's only been 1 double-digit return. I want a little bit more from him, but I'm very happy with him. He's a fun player to own as well. And then, of course, Haaland, he got his 16 points as well, which is kind of good to punish those people who went without Haaland. But yeah, I think it was kind of a bit random that game. I think he was somewhat fortunate with some of the pens and some of his attacking.
The assist.
Yeah,
I mean, him getting that assist was mental. It's like I thought it came off the defender.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was lucky, but like I think that was worse ones. Like Diaby got an assist, for example, and he's quite highly owned, and like He didn't even touch the ball. So it was like
jumped over it.
Some of these kind of decisions are pretty dubious. But like, a decent kind of squad and decent return. It's not a massive green arrow, but it is one which is it is. I've gone up like
700,000.
700,000, right? So that is pretty good, right? But Tsimikas, I kept Tsimikas. He got 15 points. A lot of people saying, "Oh, I'm so unlucky because I benched Tsimikas." I mean, you're not really though, are you? Because like it's just sensible play, right? So I'm not feeling sorry for myself about Tsimikas. I'm feeling sorry for myself with the double Arsenal defense, clean sheet going, and Bumo not scoring. Tsimikas, like, tough. Like, Brentford are a decent attacking team, and like I don't think anyone thought he was going to play. It was only actually because Gomez was injured. Right, kind of like in midweek. But no one knew about this, right? But he was injured. He wasn't fit enough to. Was he in the squad or not at all? I think.
I don't think he was in it at all.
No. So we know Tsimikas had a shocker, right, midweek and at the weekend. So he wasn't going to be playing. Gomez was going to be playing, and then we didn't know that info. So I was always going to bench Tsimikas for that, and like obviously he got his very fortunate clean sheet, and he got his 2 returns. I don't have any regrets. I mean, I'm happy I've still got him because like Liverpool, after they got Man City next game week, but then after that they got a nice run of 3-4 very easy fixtures. Hey, I'm hopefully he's done enough to kind of keep his place in the squad, right? So I'm cool with that. So I don't mind those benched points. But nice segue to you, because like I think you might have some regrets with your benched kind of points, really. And it'll be interesting for you to revisit the logic. Why you got Solanke?
Yeah, happy to revisit. But Tsimikas's first assist, I think it was in play, but it could have very easily went out of play. His second assist was all about Jota. He just gives Jota the ball. Jota did the work. Jota scored from outside the box. So it's he got a lucky second assist in a sense. And I'm with you. Like our defense, as much as I think we're a decent side going forward, our defense is poor. Let's put it this way: my bus team has Haaland as captain because I think City will put 3 or 4 past us. We're just not good defensively. I thought Brentford would score. As I saw the expected goal data from your Twitter. If you're not following, make sure you're following at fplcoms for all the expected goal data. So I saw that, and we should have conceded. So I think Tsimikas was fortunate to get 15. But I don't have Tsimikas. I've stayed away from him. Similar to yourself. So Areola with 2 points. One of them was a save point, so it could have been worse. So he did get an extra point for saves, considering he conceded. Matty Cash, again, my love affair with him is officially over. I'm thinking of chopping him in the next week or two. Lascelles, who I bought him in for Dan Burn. Needed to get rid of Burn because of his injury until the new year. Went with Lascelles. 2 reasons. One, budget friendly. Leaves me $500,000 in the bank. And I couldn't quite, the second reason, I couldn't quite get Guy or Mitchell. They both went up to 4.6, so they were 0.1 out. So I had to go with a 4.5 million defender. And it's like, there's nobody there I really want. Lascelles will do. Get me some money. So that was why I went there, and I sold Porro for Saliba. Now, Tottenham obviously had the early kickoff. Within 3 minutes of that game kicking off, Porro had an assist. The text you was like, oh, for fuck's sake, here we go. And with him, when it got to the 90th minute, he was on for 12 points, Porro. And I was like, typical FPL. Luckily, Wolves scored twice, and his 12 points became 4. So Saliba getting that attack and return, it was a good move. He's netted me 5 points. I'm happy with the Arsenal double defence. Hopefully Gabriel doesn't lose his place, but a lot of people have 1 defender already, so I'm quite happy to have 2 just as a differential. So we'll crack on with that for a bit. And then it comes to the attackers. So Salah was always going to play. He was my captain. Smashed in the 16 points, doubled to 32. Saka was at home to Burnley. So again, he got me an assist, so took 5 points there. Again, it was always, I know he was kind of flirted with, is he injured, is he not? But we've seen Arteta do that before, so I was quite happy to pick him. And
are you happy with Saka, by the way? Because I think Arsenal's attack have been quite poor. And like
Overly.
Saka as well has been pretty anonymous, right? I mean, like, are you concerned, or you just like, are you quite happy with him?
He's a bit like Darwin Núñez, but not as
But
electric.
completely
So
different.
what I mean by that, yeah. So what I mean is he's chipped in. So he got an assist this week. I think last week he got
Yeah,
me an assist, if I'm not
yeah.
mistaken. There was a game where he got me about 14 points. I think that was against Tottenham. So there's been a couple of double digits, but yeah, I want more from him.
Yeah.
If I'm honest, for the price tag he comes with. But I like Arsenal's fixtures. He's going to be their main outsource, and if he stops giving away penalties, I expect him to do all right.
Mm.
Son will come on to because I'm not happy with Son, but again for this game week away at Wolves, I couldn't not play him. Same with Watkins at home to Fulham, 6 points, got a goal, and then Haaland. Happy with that he got 16 points, but his effective ownership was over 100%. So it would have actually been better for my overall rank if he didn't do anything. But his overall ownership is less than it has been because of all those sellers. So yeah, I'm kind of take your position of it's nice to punish the ones that sold them. And we'll come on to Haaland in a little while as well. Now, my 50-50 was, do I play Gibbs White away at West Ham? Do I play Solanke against Newcastle? And that was it. I was always playing Lascelles because the Newcastle defence is a good defence. We looked at the stats; it's the third best in the league. Bournemouth aren't that good, if we're honest about it. There's a reason they're 17th in the table. So it was Gibbs White or Solanke, and I looked at it and I thought, well, Solanke is playing the third best defence in the league. Gibbs White's playing against West Ham. Now, as an Areola owner who has yet to experience a clean sheet with him in net, I'm like,
Yeah.
they're going to concede goals. So that's why I went for Gibbs White. He did pick up an assist, which is the reason I've ended up on 81 points. So a bit like you, as much as it would have been nice to play Solanke, I still feel in hindsight, obviously playing Solanke over Lascelles would have worked beautifully, but the logic makes sense to me why I benched him. So I'm not feeling sorry for myself over it. If you
What
get me.
about cash then? Like, because we know Villa. Yeah, I get you. I get you. Sorry if I spoke over you. I think there's a bit of a lag.
No,
But,
it's that delay that we
what
get.
about? But what about cash? So, like, we know Newcastle have been a very good defense. You mentioned they're like the third best, like, statistically. Cash, we know Villa aren't as good. I mean, was that part of something that you were debating?
No. So fixture was good. At home to Fulham. Yeah. And Cash nearly scored. Leno pulled off a good save to keep honestly. He got forward. Yeah. Cash, you see, Leno's kept him out, but I thought the fixture was nice. Could have maybe he's got a couple of clean sheets, to be fair to him. He's got 3. Now every other Villa defender's got 2, but Cash has got 3 because he got subbed off early one game and Villa conceded after he went off. Yeah. So he's got a couple of clean sheets, and I'm probably still loving him for his when he got the bracing like game week 3. So he's still living off that for me. So yeah,
he's not playing winger anymore, is he? But I think we'll talk about plans either really high level today or kind of next week. But yeah, cash I think is on the chopping block. But like Solanke and Gibbs White, I know last week when you're coming into it, I think there's a lot to love, right? They're penalty takers. They play 90 minutes all the time. Then the main players for each of their respective teams, and they're okay. Like Bournemouth they're not great, right? But they're not Sheffield United or Luton, right? They're okay. They're a poor team, but they're not terrible. I think you just feel a bit biased towards them because you just hate them in your squad, right? They're both decent options.
Well, Solanke I prefer to Gibbs White. Gibbs White has got, as much as he's the main man, right? This season, how many games are we in? 12. He has attack and returns in 2 games, and this week was one of them. So I'm just looking at him. I'm like, this guy just, as much as he might be the main man, he's not delivering. 2 attack and returns in 12 game weeks for the main man. And I appreciate he didn't play them all, by the way, but he played the vast majority. I feel like there's somebody. Let's put it this way: Palmer's cheaper than him.
Well, Palmer's have 4 penalties in 4 games, right? Yeah. So you could,
which is low.
penalties. Sometimes it's more. People say, "Oh, it's a team of fast attackers." That's a load of bullshit. It's more attacking teams will have more penalties, of course, but like that's kind of just quite random, right? If Son had 4 penalties in 4 games, no one would be talking about moving him on. If Gibbs White had 1 or 2, you'd be thinking, "What happy days! What a fantastic asset!" Right? So,
the asset.
anyway, believe in your squad is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay. This is
Back
a
to the
learn.
boys.
I bought him in for a reason, right?
I think you just said that someone on like X or like Twitter, like that they could just kind of says, "Oh, what about Gibbs White?" And you're like, "Yeah, I'm gonna go for it." So, there is a reason.
It was Kyrie Irving. Kyrie
yeah,
Irving messaged Joe in the wild card, and I'd never even considered Forest, but I looked at it a bit like you with Darwin. I looked at fixtures and was like, "Oh, Bournemouth have some nice fixtures. Oh, Forest have some nice fixtures." And I just got off speaking to you about potentially putting Billing into my team, and the conversation was very much, "Yeah, don't do Billing." And I was like, "Oh, Gibbs White might be a nice idea."
yeah.
But yeah, I'm not overly happy. But we'll discuss that next week because appreciate the game week 12 has the international break to get through before game week 13 kicks off. So next week we'll talk about the plans. This is what happened in game week 12. So worth taking note of some talking points. So we've already touched on 2 green arrows. Happy days. Well done. We'll just do this till the end of the season. We'll both finish about 200 in the world. So that's fine. We'll do that.
Yeah.
But some points that I thought were worth bringing up. So is Son trusted without Maddison until January? And I've got some stats to show about how he's been delivered. Now, I appreciate it's a very short sample for this because it's 1 game week in isolation without Maddison, but it just might show you some things that are interesting. We both suffer with Villa and West Ham defenders constantly not getting clean sheets. So a little touch on that. And then obviously we both have Haaland, very happy this week with 16, got 16 a couple of weeks ago as well. So is he still the main man? A lot of people did sell him on the wild card. So just to touch a little bit on with the tough City fixtures, is he still worth keeping? So yeah, a little bit of touch there. But anything that stood out for you in game week 12?
Arsenal were interesting, right? So I think some of the stuff we discussed last week, where their defense looks kind of good, but their attack doesn't look good. Without, I don't know whether that's the Jesus factor or something else. I think Jesus was pictured in training for Brazil, so him coming back might kind of shake it up a little bit. But yeah, Arsenal, they're not clicking, are they? They're not clicking, but the defense is looking solid. So I think it's kind of that's pretty interesting. Newcastle were poor against Bournemouth, weren't they? And like it was another game where Trippier, like the bane of our lives when it comes to FPL at the moment, he was awful again. He was like literally passing the ball to Solanke at times. And I think the game week before last, he was kind of doing the same as well. So he can have some really stinking games. But Newcastle look very fatigued there. Like the squad looks very kind of stretched, right? But I don't know whether that's that's something we'll see with other teams now, right? Because of the kind of fixture congestion coming up, right? So I know Newcastle have these really exaggerated for them because they've got all these injuries and suspensions, right? I think Bruno's back for them next game week, so that will make them so much better because he's probably their best player. But they just looked knackered, didn't they? So if international break comes at a good time, if there wasn't international break, I'll be like thinking, do I want to keep Gordon or not? Probably not. You mentioned Spurs. Son was isolated, but Son kind of does do that. He's not an involved player, right? So I think we'll see what happens. It's 1 game, so you can't make too much of a judgment call of it. I think if they play Benteke maybe, or kind of as someone else, they kind of try and get someone who's a bit more Maddison-like playing.
Celso.
That kind of says it all right. How much of a drop there is. But like, obviously, it doesn't look good. I think with Son anyway, was he a long-term hold? I don't know, because like the Spurs fixtures aren't great for a while. So I'm not making any rash decisions. He's not a must sell, especially with Villa next game week. But yeah, I mean, we'll watch and see. We'll wait and see.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're still surprised Trippier didn't get 3 bonus points despite the 2-0 loss.
I was just waiting for him just to have the worst game ever and just like whip in a corner. He nearly did, actually. He did have a few good dangerous corners. I was like, oh my god, it's happening again. So I was ready for that. So what a relief. What a relief. That was actually the biggest threat, I think, for me, was like Newcastle defence going in there without any Newcastle defenders. So when
there's a couple of double ups.
Yeah. Well, so it was a good bet, and like I mean, I can't lie, I was considering Lascelles in, but obviously went Saliba, so luckily avoided that. But I think talking about obviously penalties again every game week, it shows that picking penalty takers is a really good bet, and you can't get lucky every game week, but like you can't get annoyed at penalty takers scoring goals, because that's an informed choice, right? So you mentioned Palmer. Palmer's on this like hot streak, and I think a few of us will be considering quite a few Chelsea players game week 15 onwards. Like Chelsea are a good team, right? Chelsea are a good team. I think they're still the only team who've won every game statistically based on expected goals. So I think they
even against City.
Yeah, I think they beat. I think them. I might be talking bullshit, but I think that I'm talking with conviction, so it must be true. But most of the stuff I say is making up things on the spot. But like, Chelsea are a good team. So game week 15, I'll be targeting some of their players. So I've got some exit strategies for some people that are kind of like annoying, building my bench with some of the cheap options there. Great. But yeah, penalty takers continue to be kind of really important, as we saw with Palmer. So there's always a good bet to fill your squad. So yeah, I think good game week, fun game week as well. Some good games. So happy day. Eze as well. Eze.
Got the pen. Won the pen. Scored the pen.
Yes. So yeah, pen takers. But like Eze is a player like I'm gonna say we both like. I certainly do. So I'm gonna talk on your behalf. But like, he's back and is quite kind of critical to the Palace kind of attack, really. So he's a really great player and a really accessible price point, right? And is on every single set piece. So yeah, it was close for me to go Mbumo or Eze. So I went Mbumo, which I'm cool with. But Eze's back, which is it should be good for FPL managers.
Yeah, he started off. I think you had him right off the bat, right? And he started off slow, but he then picked up and got a couple of goals for you.
No, I went without him, but he often came up in our earlier episodes when we were talking about expected goal underperformers. Yeah. So he was one of the ones who was like, "Wow, he should be scoring a goal every game, but is like just getting unlucky." So I think he's the only player I was lucky to avoid, because every other person on those lists of like expected goals underachievers, I had them. I think you had a lot of them as well. So yeah, I've toyed with him for a while, and he was in my wildcard drafts, but he obviously got injured there. But yeah, he's a great option to be back.
Yeah. That's I'm still bitter about Jackson, and the guys finally started scoring, But we'll move on now that we don't have him and ignore him. Maybe I don't think I can go back there when their fixtures change in game week 15. By the way, do not try and tell me Jackson's a good pick. I don't want to do it to myself. But we spoke just then about Son, and obviously without Maddison, how much of a difference does it make? Now, I appreciate, as we've already said, this is very small data sample, but it kind of splits the season up. So game weeks 1 to 3, he was playing on the left wing, a little bit inactive. Still, it'd be better than I thought. He was underperforming his stats. He should have got 12, and he only picked up 8. Expected goal involvement of 0.3 per 90. He then moved to centre and became pretty much the striker, and it made an absolutely ridiculous difference. Now he's overperforming, but Son always does, so he should have 4.3 goals. Like you can't score 0.3 of a goal, you know what I mean? But he scored 8. But Son's done that for season after season after season. He always overperforms. So he's overperformed by like 16 points, but his expected goal involvement from the centre is 0.83. Now, I appreciate it's one game in isolation, away at Wolves, which isn't the easiest place to go. They drew with Newcastle, they beat Man City, they've now beat Tottenham. But an expected goal involvement per 90 of 0.12. Now, I make the point it's a tough fixture away at Wolves, and it is. There's fixtures are now Aston Villa, Man City away, West Ham, Newcastle, Forest away, and Everton. So it's not a good fixture run.
No.
How are you viewing it? I appreciate he's in your team. What are your thoughts with him?
I think it'll be a real luxury transfer. You must have a really good squad if you're looking to move Son, especially before Villa, right? So they're playing Villa at home, aren't they? So I think there could be goals there. Villa actually under Emery are playing a very high line. I actually saw something that the most offsides by some margin this season, in Europe has been via Villa, and that's because they play a high line, and like who loves a high line? Right, Son. Yeah. So you can't look into kind of one game week. But I think as you were saying, it's not just Maddison going, it's like some bad fixtures, right? So is there an opportunity to jump off Son? Yes. Would I be looking at my team at this moment? No. Would I be looking at in game week, we're game week 13 is next game week. Yeah. Will I be looking at game week 14 when against City? Potentially. We'll see. It'll be interesting to see how the attack stacks up for one more game week. It's like, one game is just kind of random, right? That's just noise. You want a bit more of a sample size. What I would say is the game week 4 to 11, where his stats are awesome, right? 0.83 expected goal involvement per 90. That did coincide with some really nice fixtures, right? So like Spurs had a nice run from game week 7 to game week 12. Really, they had a nice run. That's why we went all in on the wild card, right, with them. So yeah, like some of this stuff is just regression when it comes to easier fixtures. But yeah, for me, it's a hold for the time being. I want to see one more game week, and I think Villa at home is a favorite, is a good enough fixture that I wouldn't want to be moving Son. And let's see if Spurs get a penalty as well, right? That can
see who takes it. It's going to be with Maddison out, right?
Well, it's going to be Son, isn't it? Son is going to take the penalty. I think you'd do a bet on that, wouldn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, are you flaking on
him? So as you know from last week, I'm a big fan of Bowen, and an easy move is to sell Son for Bowen. Bowen's playing Burnley. He's then got Crystal Palace, got Tottenham, not easy, but he's then got Fulham, and then a home to Wolves, and Wolves aren't as good away as they are at home. So I just think Bowen's got fixtures, but I know what you mean. There's an element of, I didn't know that about the high line, but that interests me. Son always scores against Liverpool, and that's because Klopp plays a high line, and Son just drinks it time and time again. So it's interesting if that's how Villa play. Giving them the fixture, it will annoy me more. Let's put it this way: this will probably be the thing that makes them a decision. It will annoy me more selling Son for Bowen and Son hitting a brace than not bringing in Bowen and Bowen hitting a brace. It'll annoy me more. So for that reason, I might just keep Son for the week. Go with 2 transfers into game week. As you say, when he's got Man City, I can still bring him out there because he's got City, and West Ham will be playing Crystal Palace at home. So every chance Bowen can do some damage there. So yeah, we'll see next week what my thoughts were over the next 7 days. But yeah, good to hear that your thoughts are. Give it another game week, see how he does against Villa. I think that high line thing that you mentioned there will give a lot of Son owners a little bit of confidence that he could still deliver in that game. And they'll be trying to bounce back, right? They've just lost a game conceding twice in injury time. So maybe they'll be angry and ready to attack a bit more.
That cliche. They'll be motivated. They'll have more motivation,
They'll
right?
be motivated. Yeah, they're no longer top of the league. It's they've got to get themselves back up there. But that moves us on to. Go on.
I was like, we're better than that. We're better than that sort of punditry talk. Come on.
So you know what it is? It's because there's a lad that I know who's a Tottenham fan who'll be listening, and I just like winding him up that they're no longer top of the league. Because when they were top of the league, he liked to let me know it. Now the fourth, he can know it. But anyway, we're moving on to Villa and West Ham because we both have Areola and net. We've both got Matty Cash, so we both have numbers in the defence. And instead, you know what I nearly did as well, and if I could have afforded it, I might have done it. Instead of Lascelles, I looked at the West Ham fixtures and I considered Kufal. Yeah, exactly. But you do right to shake your head because the data here is not great for either of their defences. It kind of made the point before. Cash has pulled out 3 clean sheets compared to the rest of his team that have 2, purely because he got subbed off early. But for tonight, so Villa, right, Matt, they're 5th in the division. Under Emre, they play some ridiculous football. They've won 13 games in a row at home, which is a record match like 40 years ago. They're playing ridiculous football. They're only 3 points off the top of the division. Expected clean sheets of 2.1 after 12 game weeks. Like, what do you make of that?
Well, it's like stating the obvious, isn't it? That they're an attacking team, right? But they're not a great defense. So I don't think these stats are surprising. I think when you got some defenses that are just gifts, so you're already in on the Arsenal defense, that's great. But the Newcastle defense is still a gift. I know they had that kind of difficult game against Newcastle. You don't really need to be. I don't know why you'd be necessarily looking at bringing in players. I think it's more about thinking of like jumping off them. Now, Areola is a bit of a unique case because he's super cheap, right? So that extra budget does snookers you a little bit because you can't move him to someone else in an easy way. But it's also a gift that having a cheap starting kind of keeper like that. So I'm kind of cool with him. Yeah, Cash I think is an option that to kind of like, especially like say moving him to someone else to save funds. I think is quite an interesting proposition. I think the counterpoint though, Villa don't have a bit of a dodgy run, right? Spurs, Bournemouth, Man City, Arsenal, Brentford, and then Sheffield United. The Sheffield United game, this is ages away. It's in game week 18, but that is the blank game week. So that's when Man City and Brentford are blanking. You kind of want some good players for that, right? So if you get away just kind of keeping Cash on your bench, is that an option? That'd be quite nice. But yeah, I'm viewing him as a potential out, an out to kind of free some money up in the next couple of game weeks. So I'm not surprised by the stats. And like Cash was great earlier in the year because he was playing as a winger. He's playing as a right back now, right? So that attacking appeal, he's still good, but he's not playing as a winger, right? So that's where when you were getting his like returns, and rightly so, that was because he was playing completely out of position. He's not now. So yeah, not a fan of either of these defenses, and I'm not surprised really by these numbers.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think, but as I said before, my love affair with Cash is gone. Seeing as attacking output, he did, as I say, he did nearly score against Fulham, but he hasn't done enough of that over the last few weeks for me. I want to sell him. So you mentioned those fixtures already. So Tottenham, Bournemouth away, who've just beat Newcastle, but Tottenham, Bournemouth away, City, Arsenal, and Brentford away. They are poor fixtures. Because I had them straight off the bat, I can sell them at a profit of 0.3 or 0.4, so I can get rid of them at 4.8, 4.9. And I can see his value only going one way and dropping. And I'll be honest, if I sell him, will I be bothered about bringing him back? Unless he changes position again, I don't think I will be. He's not.
Don't have no time for sentiment. Do you know what I mean? No set time for sentiment.
Yeah, exactly.
Time to move on the next couple of games. What I would say, I wasn't paying attention to the table you put here. This is since game week 8, right? So that's 5 games.
Yes. Yeah.
Villa's defense isn't great. Villa have had some very easy fixtures, but like expected over 2 expected clean sheets in 5 is not bad. So I'm giving them a bit of a disservice, right?
A good point. Yeah. I forgot this was game week 8.
Yeah. So like that's not bad, but still, I think that's been really driven by very easy fixtures since game week 8. They probably had the best best run of fixtures out of all teams in that time period. So moving forward, I don't think they're a great defense. But like obviously, yeah, what I was saying, exaggerating it. So
that's my fault for not highlighting. But I put it on the right. So you'll see in over those last 5 games, Matty Cash has a clean sheet because he got the early sub, but nobody else in those teams does. All season, Villa have had 2 and West Ham have had 1. So despite the data, they should have had 2 in the last 5 game weeks. Well, they've only had 2 all season. So I feel like your point still stands. So yeah, potential time to consider moving off these defences. But the only thing I will highlight for West Ham is their fixtures are Burnley away, Palace at home, Tottenham away, not great, Fulham away, Wolves at home. So they've got their next 5 are a little bit better. So hopefully, if you've got Areola, like most people do, he might finally return a clean sheet. Time will tell. But don't double up, is what you're saying. If you've got Areola, leave it like that. If you didn't have Areola, number 1, would you get him? Number 2, would you consider a West Ham defender based on those fixtures?
I'd bring in Areola if I was going to burn a transfer. Right, so if I had 2 free transfers and I couldn't think of a move, I'd bring in Areola for sure. I don't know if I'd do it outside of that situation. But yeah, I wouldn't double up even with the good fixture run. I don't know. Burnley is nice. I think Palace are a different attacking proposition with Eze back. Just kind of levels up the team so much. Spurs away isn't great. Fulham away isn't great, right? So I don't know. It's like it's a good run, but not fantastic. So yeah, I wouldn't be doubling up.
Look good. And then we're going to touch on the other point, which was all about Haaland. So again, this is L3-1 data since game week 8. So the reason I've done that is a lot of wildcards were played sort of game week 8, game week 9, a couple in game week 10. There was that conversation, we had it on here about can you go without Haaland? Now, neither of us did. I think we've touched on that. I wouldn't enjoy the game. I'd hate just watching City and not having Haaland in my team. That would annoy me too much that I'd stop enjoying playing FPL. So I have to keep him unless he gets injured or something, right? But so this is then listed by expected FPL points. So he's 3rd behind Salah and behind Palmer. But I know you're a fan of per 90 data, Matt. So I'll put it on the right hand side. Over those 5 game weeks, Haaland is top. He's got an expected goal involvement of 1.32 per 90 minutes. Palmer 2nd, Salah's 3rd. Not far behind him, but he is still number 1. If you did play the wild card and you decided you're going to go with Alvarez instead and spread the funds, based on him having 216 points in the last 3 game weeks, how much would you be desperate to bring him back? And how much of an effort would you make with your team to get him back?
Well, I'm going to be a dick to begin with and say, like, yeah, fool on you to think Alvarez was going to keep scoring, right? We were saying he was getting lucky all the time. And then this always happens. Players who have these hot streaks, not based on underlying stats, they then blank for 3 or 4 game weeks in a row. And then people get surprised, right? What did you expect?
I think he picked up did he pick up an assist? I think he got an assist against Chittenden for the 4 goals. I think. I don't think he scored any.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He didn't get 16.
I wouldn't be surprised, but yeah, he was getting lucky earlier. So would I bring Haaland back in? Yes. I mean, like, his short-term fixtures aren't the best. So he's got Liverpool, Spurs, Villa, and then he's got Luton and Crystal Palace. I don't think I'd want to be going to that Luton game without him.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be like Woods. Like where are your cash cows, right? Would downgrading? I don't know how. Like it's all team dependent, right? But if you have 2 free transfers, would a Son downgrade to enable Haaland coming in? Would that be a net positive? Probably, I would say. What you need to make sure in those situations is that you've got a decent enough team for game week 18, because obviously game week 18 is quite far away, but Haaland isn't playing. So yeah. So I was just thinking, what did people expect, really? Like him not to score?
Yeah, you mentioned the fixtures. Now, the 216 points, one was against Chelsea, at Chelsea.
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think that's an easy fixture.
No, it's not.
The other one was at Old Trafford. Now, I know United are they're getting a lot of media stick about United are terrible. The top of the form table. In the last 6 games, they've got more points than any other team in the division. The only game they've lost is against Man City.
Mm-hmm.
So that they're in a bit. I know they've been terrible in Europe, but it's not as bad as it's being made out. Let's put it that way. They're only 7 points off the top of the Premier League. If memory serves me correctly,
they're grinding out results. You're quite right. You're quite right.
But he's smashed in 16 points against them and 16 points. So the fix for me, Haaland can hit a hat trick in any game, regardless of who he's playing. So he seems fixture proof, a bit like Salah.
But he always was, really. So again, I'd be saying, if you made your bets, like what was the logic when you were making that decision? But yeah, I'd be kind of trying to get him in. But like, you got to be true to yourself and what was going through your mind at that given time. I mean, the table's kind of interesting, right? So Haaland, he's 3rd on it, but this is expected FPL points. This is, sorted by expected FPL points since game week 8. Bear in mind, he had that subbing at 45 minutes, right? So like, he's missing half a game there, and City did have the little blip when Rodri was out, right? So they and Haaland looked really poor, actually, from like game week. Maybe like game week 7 to game week 9. There was like a 3-week window where he was not getting any underlying stats, but they look hot again. So yeah, he's looking really good. Obviously, Palmer here is a surprise because, but that's driven by penalties. But yeah, wow, what an enabler! I think people who didn't go Haaland and don't have Haaland, they wanted to kind of spread the funds. But when you got people like Mbeumo and Palmer and other cheap options, like is Bowen better than Mbeumo? I don't think so. Who else is a mid-price, like a midfielder? Is Bruno Fernandes better than Palmer at the moment? I don't think so. Right. So I think these cheap enablers mean you don't really need to like release the funds. Trippier's the one who stands out, right? Because he's an expensive defender who's kind of got loads of great returns, but is that enough to cover? I don't think so. I'm surprised Nunes is not on this though. Because I think
surely based on his minutes, I imagine.
Yeah, I think he must be like sort of expected goal involvement per 90, which you got on the side. I'd imagine he'd be in the top 5 for sure. So
I looked because I thought you might bring it up. So he's over 1, but he's just over 1. He was like 1.04. So yeah, he's still heavily involved, but his minutes unmanaged compared to the rest on this.
He'll be the top, like, because there's been an obsession here. He'll be the top for non-penalty expected goal involvement per 90.
Oh, yeah.
So he's the main man for the purists, right? So yeah, he's.
That's interesting though, isn't it? Because you look at this list, and we say it every week, right? Salah, Palmer, Haaland, and Mbeumo. You have to get to Watkins before you get to a non-penalty taker.
No, exactly. So it's all good, but like, yeah, Haaland is the main man. Yes, he had a blip game week 7 to game week 9, but like, it's obviously come back unsurprisingly. Yeah, what are you getting without having him? Is it enough?
Yeah. I suppose that's it, isn't it? Does a 7 million striker and a 7 million midfielder match his points? It's time will tell. Probably since game week 8. With the 2 16-point hauls, we might be breaking even, maybe. I hope.
Exactly, and it's a really interesting table because you've got Palmer there as an option. So Palmer plus Haaland in terms of cost is 17, give or take, right? You can be quite creative with your numbers. Watkins plus anyone. Watkins plus Son. Are they matching?
Yeah.
I don't know. There's a debate there. I'd say probably not, right? So, like, it's interesting how you can like add these combos.
Yeah. There you go. I'm gonna, as I say, I just couldn't go without him. But Haaland, if you haven't got him, yeah, as you say, you might have made your decision early doors, and you might have to just go through with it unless you've got a wild card left or something. But yeah, he's always a man to be feared. That's the chat in terms of the FPL game week. We will be back next week to chat what our plans are for game week 13. But of course, as with every episode, we have to do a question from us session. Why should I be the one that gets all the fun and gets to ask you all of the questions? So we'll put it out. I've had some new people sending questions. So thank you to X Logic and Joey P. And of course, thank you to Kyrie for continuing to support the channel as well. And then the transfer question of the week is Formsy1. But I want to ask you a question to do with principles of FPL. Because I'm thinking I might ask you one of these every week, Matt. Because the whole point of this is how do you think differently when it comes to playing FPL compared to somebody like me who is maybe finishing at the 100,000 mark and you're finishing in the top 10,000? So one thing that I've been thinking about is transfers and how far in advance you look at them. Because I will sit there, and it's game week 12 now, and I could quite easily sit there with a pen and paper and go, right, game week 13, I'll do this. Game week 14, I'll do that. Game week 15, I'll do that. And I could get to game week 20 and have it pre-planned. Now, in reality, it all changes by game week 15. But the question for you is, like, how far in advance do you look and kind of either pre-book or think about the transfers you're going to make?
Yeah, great question. So I probably look at a 6 to 7 game week window, right? I want to think to myself, am I happy with that player in my team for a 6 week kind of like window? And the reason why I use 6 weeks is that if you use really short term, you're going to be biased by the next game week's fixtures, or there might be one bad fixture coming up that you put too much emphasis on. I mean, over 6 game weeks, you can kind of average itself out. It's a nice window that you can kind of correct mistakes in as well. Also, like anything longer than that, you don't know what's going to happen, right? So 6 feels like a nice middle ground that I kind of use. So yeah. 6 to 7 game weeks.
6 to 7 game weeks, and you've kind of pre-planned the moves you're going to make, but then flexible to change it.
Exactly. So really my guiding principle there is 6 to 7 game weeks. When I'm bringing a player in, I need to be happy with that player in my squad for 6 to 7 game weeks. Will I pre-plan moves every game week moving forward? I'll have a loose idea of the options that I've got for each game week, but I want to be reactive as well for the moments that happen in time.
Yeah.
Let's use some examples recently. Palmer, the emergence of Palmer, right? You wouldn't be able to predict that, right? So you need some flexibility there. Like some of the people who've gone without Haaland, right? They're probably thinking, oh shit, I need to bring him back in now because like Man City are looking awesome now. So like you got to have some kind of flexibility. So when you do make a move, have that 6 to 7 week window in mind that you're kind of happy with.
Yeah.
Do I book every on a rolling basis? Am I booking my transfers 6 weeks in advance? No, I've got a loose idea of the teams I'm targeting at least. But I try and be reactive when it comes to those sort of things as well. It's all about balance. If you want a philosophical answer to your question, it's all about balance. FPL philosophy. All
about balance. FPL balance. You get one of them. You're going to get one of them every week. Just a little, as I say, principle of FPL. Just to see how you think differently. But moving on to the questions from the audience. So X Logic, long time listener, first time asker. So thank you for getting involved. He's touched on Son. He said about how he does an appeal based on Madison. May have seen the same data we have.
Yep.
And I know you're going to give him a week, right? But if you had to sell him for some reason, you have to. Who are you bringing in? And don't ignore your team, because I appreciate your answer will probably be Mbumo, but ignore your team, so it can still be Mbumo.
Well, it'd be Salah, wouldn't it? If it could be,
true. Yeah.
If it was a flippant answer, but yeah, like the likes of Salah and Boomer, these guys will be kind of right at the top. I mean, who could be interesting? Bowen could be interesting. I don't think Bowen outscores Son, but Bowen is an option. Eze has Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth in the next three, so short term he could be of interest. That's the thing. I don't think there's a huge wealth of options. So I agree, Son didn't look good, but I'm going to give him certainly another game week, right? I'm quite happy about Spurs playing Villa at home. I think that could be a high scoring game that plays into Son's strength. I mean, there's not a huge amount of viable alternatives at the moment that scream out that I can jump in and they're going to outperform Son over the medium term. So I think Bowen is probably, other than the obvious ones that everyone's got, like Salah, I think Bowen might be the pick. But I don't love it. That's the problem.
If you don't love it, don't do it. There you go. Hope that helped. X-Logic. But Joey P, you might have touched on this loosely without meaning to. So he has Diaby owner. Obviously, Diaby now has Tottenham, Bournemouth away, Man City, Arsenal, and Brentford.
Yeah.
He's considering jumping off to Eze. Now, you've literally just gone through Eze's fixtures, which look incredibly good. So do you think that's a good transfer? Or would you think rolling it is better and going into game week 14 with 2 transfers?
Probably rolling. I'm a big fan of rolling. I'm a big fan of kind of rolling. It just gives you so much more flexibility. I prefer Eze over Diaby, and congrats on the assist that you got the week the weekends. But yeah, Palace have good fixtures over the next 3, but then have Liverpool, Man City right in game week 16 and 17. But Palace have got Luton, West Ham, Bournemouth, Villa over the same kind of 3-game week window. They have Spurs, Bournemouth, Man City. Well, they have Arsenal, Brentford as well. So yeah, it's I think Eze's fixtures are better. Eze's a better asset than Diaby as well, right? Because we've mentioned penalties. He's on penalties. He's on every set piece, and it's quite a thing. So I like it. I like it. Will I be desperate to kind of make that move this game week? Or I'd be quite happy keeping Eze against like Spurs. Really, you can tell. Not massively aggressive with my transfers, but I've always been that way inclined, and it's kind of worked for me. But I like the move. I like the thinking. I think Eze or Diaby. Who would you have in your team at the moment? Eze. Diaby's okay though. He's okay, but you don't want to be playing him. Yeah. Playing him like medium term. You won't be getting rid of him. So like maybe now's a good opportunity to jump off.
So if it's a free transfer, you've only got 2, do it. If you've only got 1 free transfer, you'd rather go into game week 14 with 2 than make the move.
Yeah. Or toss a coin on that one, yeah.
There you go. That's a good one. Just if it says do it.
Yeah, this is it. Like if you want to do your FPL philosophy question as well, it's just this game is just the series of coin tosses, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Carries in, and a question that you'll very much like because you are a Darwin Núñez owner and a very happy Darwin Núñez owner. Now we've already touched on the last table. Darwin didn't feature, and it's because of his minutes. Now he is starting to get more minutes and starting to get more starts for Liverpool, but he's going to come back from the international break, and Liverpool once again have the early kickoff. So obviously he's coming from South America, so we'll see how he is then. But Kyrie's looking at it, and he's like, game weeks 14 to 16 happened across 7 days for Liverpool. You always talk about guaranteed minutes. Are you worried about Darwin not getting the minutes across those 3 game weeks?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'll correct you and Kyrie, shout out for the Gibbs White recommendation. I mean, Dave's loving that.
Thanks, Kyrie.
Every game week, the kind of Darwin. I can challenge on a point you said there, and his minutes they're still a bit uncertain. Since game week 8, he's played 90 minutes, 28 minutes. That was when he came back from international break. 79 minutes, 90 minutes, and 90 minutes. So is he a rotation risk? I don't know. You'd be the judge of that. It seems like he's playing.
Oh, the only thing you've got to think here, though, that's just the caveat. And I think, as I say this every week, as a Liverpool fan, I would just be starting Nunez every single game. But during the last couple of game
Yeah,
weeks,
yeah,
Gakpo's been out with injury, and obviously Diaz has had his personal dealings to go with. So
yeah.
we've
True,
been
true, true, true,
limited
true, true,
to
true.
Salah, Jota, and Diaz. Not Diaz, Darwin. Whereas Gakpo's back from injury, and good news, Darwin's dad's been released. So he's now competing against another two strikers he hasn't been. So I don't know whether that impacts you, but I'm with
No, no.
you. I think I would be starting him.
It's good balance, but like as we said, like he's in the best starting forward three for sure. And his connection with Salah is great. I think he's done like 8 assists to kind of Salah this year. Am I nervous about to Kyrie's question? Like we're not just like doing Darwin properly. Sorry, we're ignoring your question there, mate. But am I nervous if he's going to start all the game weeks 14 to 16? Yeah. I don't think there's upside. There's Fulham, there's Sheffield United, there's Palace. Do I think if he does 2 starts in 3, will it be enough? Potentially. And there's other fixture congestions there as well. So it's like, who would I be getting rid of him for? I could go for a Solanke who would play all those games and play 90. I think if Darwin plays 2 and 3, he outscores a Solanke, right? So it's all about those other options, and then the other options for good teams, they'll have reduced minutes, right? If you went for, I'll make something up. If you went for, there's not many strikers there that are viable, are there? Really?
Watkins,
Alvarez,
Haaland.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, there's not many. So yeah, Watkins I've already got, but like an Alvarez, for example, one I don't think he's as good from an attacking point of view. I think his minutes would be rotated, right? So yeah, unless I just kind of bring in an Archer, and then get someone else in. Yeah, I think there's enough upside, right? I think he'll be rotated. Of course, I'm nervous about his minutes without the fixture congestion. A lot of great assets will have reduced minutes, even if they start every game week. They might be kind of reduced down to like 60 minutes or kind of whatnot. If he starts like 2 and 3, he'll get some good returns, I'm sure. So I'm quite happy with him for the time being.
Yeah, it comes in quite nicely to Formsy 1, so for the transfer question of the week. So thanks for submitting it. Formsy, he is touching on Haaland, and he doesn't have him, but he's looking to get him for game week 14-15. Now he does have Darwin, and he has Watkins. And I suppose what he's talking about is, does he say he can move from Watkins in 1 move to Haaland? He can move from Darwin in 2. So I'm going to make this 2 questions. So number 1, to answer Formsy's ones, which one would you prefer? And then the second question is, if you don't own Darwin, do you consider him a buy?
No, he's not a buy.
Okay.
He was a buy for the reasons you mentioned, right? So he was a buy because Gakpo was out and Diaz had his personal issues, right? So the rotation risk was just gone, right? So I think he's a hold if you have him. I don't think he's a buy at the moment. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens. I think you can kind of wait a game week, and then he's got the nice 3, so you can kind of like, he's not a buy after an international break because it's unlikely he starts, right? So he's not a buy this game week. Let's see what happens. But yeah, he's a hold. And we're saying like, okay, who's the better option, Watkins or Darwin, like to bring Haaland in? That's really tough. And we're saying game week 14 and 15. So it really difficult because let's say it's game week 15. Game week 15, Watkins is playing Man City, then he's playing Arsenal, then he's playing Brentford, then he has the great fixture of Sheffield United. Darwin, on the same period, he has Sheffield United, Palace, United. It's a really tough one, isn't it?
Yeah.
I'd say Watkins just to play the fixtures, but you want to be finding a route to get from Darwin to Watkins for game week 18.
So maybe Forbes hasn't thought about that. It could be early doors, get rid of Watkins, but then as you say, move Darwin on to get him back.
Check your rest of your squad though, because you're using a lot of transfers for
Yeah.
those striker spots, like jumping in and out, and see if you can buy back them, because you might have some price rises baked into these guys, right? But yeah, I think game week 14, game week 15 is a perfect time to jump off Watkins for those really tough fixtures. I know people say, oh, he does good in good fixtures and stuff like that. The tougher in tough fixtures are tough fixtures. So you could jump off of Watkins there for those really tough fixtures. Keep Darwin for his easy ones, and then game week 18 look to move Darwin to Watkins. But yeah, a lot of hypotheticals there, a lot of what ifs, and you burn a lot of transfers for those strikers. But that could be the neatest option, I think.
Yeah, I'm not thought of that. So thank you. There you go, Formsy. Hopefully that has helped. We're coming to the end, but we can't not give the results for Matt versus Dave. Primarily because I'm back to 2-2. I managed to win. Did panic, if I'm honest. I saw Antonio was benched. That didn't fill me with any joy. That the first time he's been benched this season. Maybe Moyes was like, "Oh, Dave picked him. I'll put him on the bench just to annoy him." So that happened. Havertz obviously started maybe a little bit further forward with some of the injuries to the Arsenal team. So yeah, Adingra's early goal at Brighton was good. The only goal he scored, 3 bonus points, so I've hit a 9 for him. And then Antonio came off the bench for 11 minutes and I pulled in a 1, so I've ended up on 10 points in total. What were you thinking when you saw Garnacho got the start?
I didn't even look. It was. I mean, the picks were so underwhelming this week, right? It's like I forgot who I got. I guess the play to have would have been like must have been Trossard did all right, didn't he? I think he.
Trossard 13 points for Trossard. Very well.
Yeah, was he under? Was he within the threshold? Was he below? He's 5 point.
Too sure.
He is 2.2% owned. So yeah, Trossard was the was the one. Obviously, yeah, Havertz, he didn't do good again, right? So he got pulled off before 60 minutes, right?
Yeah. 58.
Trossard was
picking. Yeah, picking under 5% is difficult, as we found out this week. It is very difficult, but we'll keep it going. And if it just starts to get where we're getting games like game weeks like this, and you're picking Antonio and Garnacho, well, maybe push it to 10%.
No, it's good. It's good. I actually think your mate Billing might be an option next game week, because I think target Sheffield United is probably going to be a common tactic here. Bournemouth are away at Sheffield United, so yeah, your friend Billing, if he's underneath that 5% ownership, I'm sure he would be, right? Everyone bar Solanke will be, right? Like that's an interesting option. Palace have probably got a few gems. You could do a bit of an AU or Edouard. He seems to do better when Eze's playing. So yeah, interesting options. I think I was struggling last game week though to kind of get some exciting players. So
you get to pick first next game week. So it's an odd game week. So your first pick. So there you go. You've got free shot with your first pick. But yeah, 2-2, which is good. We don't want somebody to run away with this, because then if somebody goes 10 points in the lead, this feature's pointless. So hopefully we can keep it well balanced. But yeah, we'll come back to our picks for game week 13 next week.
Like it.
And with that, that's the end, because we'll pick back up next week with what we're doing. But yeah, what's up for your weekend? Much without the football? Are you going to be watching Wales qualify for the Euros?
Yeah, and well, big games on the Tuesday, right? So that's Turkey at home. So yeah, that'll be the big one. So yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah, it should be well. It's always sometimes qualifiers are quite dry, aren't they? Like, so it's nice. It's nice for Wales, at least there's a bit of a bit to play for, which is
yeah, that's it. Scotland,
you guys qualified. Got England have got Malta.
Malta on Friday, 7:45 on Friday, so UK time. So we should. I mean, I'll be very disappointed if there's not a couple of goals for England there, but yeah, we should. That should see us pretty much through. Scotland have qualified already. Hopefully Wales get there. And I don't really know what's happening with Ireland and Northern Ireland. I haven't really looked, but
we wish them luck as
all the
well.
home nations. Yeah, exactly. All the home nations. Why not? And wherever you're listening from, we hope your team, even if you're not in Europe, I hope your team qualifies for the Euros as well. If Australia are in the Eurovision, why not? Eh?
Yeah.
These things can happen. But yeah.
No, well, it's one of your favorite things, isn't it? Is that
Eurovision? So if anybody that is listening has never played the Eurovision drinking game, I would thoroughly recommend it because it will completely change your opinion of Eurovision. Do it. It's there you go. You'll come to Edinburgh next May, Matt, and we'll do it. But thanks for joining us. Thank you again. We'll pick up with you next week. See what our plans are for game week 13. Look at a couple more stats in terms of captaincy pick that we might go for. Fixtures aren't great this week. Coming up. I don't know whether you've had a quick look at them, but nobody's jumping out.
Everyone's playing each other as well, so it feels like it's screaming out. It's going to be a tough game week, right?
Yeah, absolutely. It's looking tough, and be hopefully not like last game week where not the one just gone, the one before that where we end up in 9.7 million rank, but we'll see. But yeah, say thank you again. Hopefully we'll see you next week. But thank you to you, the listener, as well, for joining us. We really do appreciate your time, as we say every week. If you did find this useful, please give us a subscribe, give us a like, just so other people can find us as well, and hopefully get the same benefits. But again, to you, thank you for your time, and hopefully we will join you next week as well ahead of game week 13. Enjoy the international break.